I found it ironic that I was having difficulty expressing the liberation of the soul and the deep enjoyment of life that we have on this planet for a very short period of time, because we're temporary visitors to this blue earth. And then it struck me suddenly, yeah, I'm having trouble, but there are some people who really can explain it quite clearly. And that is the great novelists and the poets. And so during this chat, the final chat, dealing with the life instinct and the goal that we have, and that is for somebody to really experience and love life, I decided to dip into great literature. There's only been one really great American novel. I have no doubt about that. And it's a novel by Herman Melville called Moby Dick. Just hear this first paragraph. Call me Ishmael. Some years ago, never mind how long precisely, having little or no money in my purse and nothing particular to interest me on shore, I thought I would sail about a little and see the watery part of the world. It is a way I have of driving off the spleen and regulating the circulation. Whenever I feel myself growing grim about the mouth, whenever it is a damp, drizzly November in my soul, whenever I find myself involuntarily pausing before coffin warehouses and bringing up the rear of every funeral I meet, and especially whenever my hypos get such an upper hand of me that it requires a strong moral principle to prevent me from deliberately stepping into the street and methodically knocking the hats off people. Then I account it high time to get to the sea as soon as I can. This is my substitute for pistol and ball. I quietly take to the ship. There's nothing surprising in this. If they but knew it, almost all men in their degree, sometime or other, cherish very nearly the same feelings toward the ocean with me. Now that is great writing. But there is the appeal, the excitement, the happiness, the joy of going to the sea. For me, it was very frequently going to the forest and walking on my own through the woods, and I loved every second of it. That's a love of life that we are trying to pass. The sea, of course, is very appealing to people because we were once water animals in the peace and loveliness of our mother's womb. And so as I talk about getting back to that original joy of the baby that we talked about in Dr. Paul Bloom's research at Yale, one thing that I wanted to make clear is that we move to nature itself. Now the sea, this is John Masefield, the complete poems, and I once told you that I love poetry. Here's what he calls sea fever. I must go down to the seas again, to the lonely sea in the sky, and all I ask is a tall ship and a star to steer her by. And the wheels kick, and the wind's song, and the white sails shaking, and a gray mist on the sea's face, and a gray dawn breaking. I must go down to the seas again, for the call of the running tide is a wild call and a clear call that may not be denied. And all I ask is a windy day with the white clouds flying, and the flung spray and the blown spume and the seagulls crying. I must go down to the seas again, to the vagrant gypsy life, to the gull's way and the whale's way, where the wind's like a whetted knife. And all I ask is a merry yarn from a laughing fellow rover, and quiet sleep and a sweet dream when the long trip's over. Ah, the poets. They're saving me and expressing what I want to express in terms of love of life. This is a book I got as a sophomore in college. It's called Poetry and Life. My teacher was Clyde S. Kilby, and he really helped me one time when I was at a loss in what to do with my life. And he helped me behaviorally. I went to his office. I was quite nervous because I didn't know whether to change colleges or not. And I sat there, and I guess I was looking upon him as some great guru who could tell me what to do. But I remember what Dr. Kilby did. He took off his shoe and started rubbing his toes with his fingers. His sock. Right through his sock, he was rubbing his toes. And somehow, that really struck me. But here is a section in his book, and I'm trying to communicate the joy and liberation when you're free and you're loving life. This is from Ode to Immortality by William Wordsworth. I love the brooks which down their channels fret, even more when I trip lightly as they. I love the innocent brightness of a newborn day is lovely, yet the clouds that gather round the setting sun do take a sober coloring from an eye that hath kept watch over man's immortality. Thanks to the human heart by which we live. Thanks to the tenderness, its joys and fears. To me, the meanest flower that blows can give thoughts that do often lie too deep for tears. So this is expressing what I wanted to express. And then I want to look at a little bit at Emily Dickinson. Do you recall the little girl who came up and said, "Grandmother, are you going to die?" Well, Emily Dickinson writes with the simplicity of a very little girl. And this book holds some of the things that I like. The bee is not afraid of me. I know the butterfly, the pretty people in the woods receive me cordially. The brooks laugh louder when I come, the breezes madder play. Wherefore mine eyes thy silver miss, wherefore, O summer's day. That's the way she writes. It's quite simple. Here's one. This is very short. No rack can torture me, my soul at liberty behind this mortal bone. There knits a bolder one. You cannot prick my soul with saw, nor pierce with scimitar. The eagle of his nest no easier divest and gain the sky than mayest thou, except I may be thine own enemy. Captivity is consciousness. So learn liberty. Emily Dickinson, a very simple soul. I'm going to say one other poem because I'm expressing this love of life. O world, this is by Edna St. Vincent Millay. O world, I cannot hold thee close enough. Thy winds, thy wide gray skies, thy mists that roll and rise, thy woods this autumn day that ache and sag, and all but cry with color, that gaunt crag to crush, to lift the lean of that black bluff. World, world, I cannot get thee close enough. Long have I known a glory in it all, but never knew I this, Here such a passion is as stretcheth me apart. Lord, I do fear thou madest the world too beautiful this year. My soul is all but out of me. Let fall no burning leaf, prithee let no bird call. So, I give you poetry, but most of all, Liberation Psychotherapy is about embracing and loving life, because you only have a very short time to live.